Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke.com. Welcome to This Week in Prophecy. Assad regime out in Syria. Also, we had a California quake, but we're going to spend the bulk of time today talking about what's happened in Syria over the past week. Scripture reference, Isaiah 17, verse 1. This is the burden against Damascus. Behold, Damascus is no longer a city. It has become a heap of ruins. Now, what's happened, this is not the fulfillment of prophecy. Damascus is still there. It's still a city. The prophecy there in Isaiah is what is yet to come, but this is a big sea change in the Middle East. The Assad regime and rule in Syria is over after 50 years. So, balance of power has shifted away from Shia control, Shia influence from Iran, and has gone more to Sunni. And that's going to be Al-Qaeda, is where that's who's taken over effectively. The Syrian regime has fallen as Damascus and the SAF surrendered to rebel factions. We're going to get down here, take a look at the SAF. You're going to see all kinds of acronyms. The SAF is also the Syrian Armed Forces. That's this group over here in the red, Latakia, Tartus. Keep in mind, Russia has resources in Latakia, Tartus. Russia's pulling some of those resources out. Remains unclear how much they're going to take out, but some are moving out. And the last remaining Syrian armed forces are there in the red along the Mediterranean coast, remains to be formally taken over. The SNA, that would be in the green, the Syrian National Army, also known as the rebels. You hear all kinds of talks about the rebels. The rebels did this, the rebels did that. That would be the Syrian National Army. They have been aided by Turkey, the United States, and the leader of the SNA is former head of Al-Qaeda. We're going to get to him. So effectively, you know, for those of us scratching our head here in the West, yes, the United States administration, that is Biden, supported Al-Qaeda to overthrow Assad. Yeah, that's kind of what happened. Over here to the far east of Syria, Syrian Democratic Forces. Really not sure who all that is. I know there could be some, folks that are associated with northern Iraq as well. This is kind of an area. The Kurds, maybe. Very unclear. Also to the south, the Southern Operation Room, new opposition positions. And then you got Al-Qaeda, still kind of, not Al-Qaeda, ISIS is kind of sprinkled at different spots throughout central Syria. I mean, Syria is just a hot mess, is the best way to describe it. And just because Assad's out, I know I've heard this expressed from a couple of different folks, including Checkmate. Better pray for our Christian brothers and sisters in Syria, because they're going to come under attack from what is the rebels, or the Syrian National Army, or also Al-Qaeda. Could be a little dangerous for those folks. So how all this breaks down, man, I don't know. We're watching it happen. For more details, I've been pulling this from War Mapper off of X or Twitter. Click on his link. He has all sorts of cool resources. So he's the source of this. Bottom line, Turkey's President Recep Erdogan has achieved a major victory. He's got to be feeling his oats right now. Make no doubt about it. And this is the impression over in Europe. This is from Visegrád. Turkey has defeated Russia and Iran in Syria. It has to be said clearly. So, you know, and then we also take a look at Ezekiel 38 and 39. And I've gotten plenty of feedback from folks who believe that Turkey, instead of Russia, will be the ones who initiate the invasion into Israel at some point in the future. And some of those folks have expressed to me that they are of the opinion the leader of Turkey will pull Russia along, and it will be Turkey that leads the coalition. And, well, I'll tell you what, this clearly paves the way for that to happen. But at some point, we do know Turkey, Russia, Iran, Libya, Ethiopia, Sudan, I don't know about South Sudan, but Eritrea, that area off the Horn of Africa, they'll all come together, and others, probably the old stand countries of the Soviet Union, will come against Israel at some point in the future. Now, for now, we're in a little bit of flux. We got to see what's going to happen, see where this goes, and that's the thing, man. As usual, my man Recep Erdogan, he is a massive wild card in all of this because he looked down and out politically in Turkey and had took a big hit in elections, the last election cycle in Turkey, and then look what happened today. So keep your eyes on it. We know how it's going to end up, but the twists, the turns, the plots, how we get there, anybody who claims to know that, whatever. Nobody could have predicted how all these things are going to happen, and nobody knows how it's going to happen. We know what's going to happen at some point with Ezekiel 38 and 39. A group of countries will come against Israel, but how that takes shape and the form that we get there, I'm not going to try to predict that. Russian Air Force starts evacuating its Khmeimim Air Base in Syria. Several large military transport planes have just arrived to help pack up and evacuate both Russian soldiers and equipment. I saw some of the missile batteries, the S-400s and S-300s being removed from Syria. Pretty wild stuff. And I know we talked about this last week. Effectively, Jeremiah 49 talked about this invasion, or this happening, that ultimately led to the destruction of Damascus, would start in the north and just pretty much come down this old highway, Arpad or Aleppo to Hamath, Homs, and then eventually Damascus gets it. Still around. I mean, they've been in civil war now for going on 14 years, but pretty wild stuff to watch happen. Again, this is from Visegrád. Click on this link. There's the tweet. Highly recommend following them. Lots of good stuff there. President-elect Donald Trump has weighed in on the events taking place in Syria. He put this up on his website, Truth Social. Here's a link. Click on the link if you want to go specifically to Truth Social. And he opposition fighters in Syria, in an unprecedented move, have totally taken over numerous cities in a highly coordinated offensive and are now on the outskirts of Damascus, obviously preparing to make a very big move toward taking out Assad. Well, they've done it since Trump put this up. Russia, because they are so tied up in Ukraine and with the loss there of over 600,000 soldiers, seems incapable of stopping this literal march through Syria, a country they have protected for years. And that's true. That goes back to, 2015 is when Russia first came into Syria. And we're going to talk about one of the places they used to occupy down on the Golan Heights, and they're out of there as well. Going back to Trump's comments, this is where former President Obama refused to honor his commitment of protecting the red line in the sand. That's right. And that's when all hell broke out, with Russia stepping in. So Obama stepped out, refused to enforce his red line. Russia stepped in. But now they are likely, like possibly Assad himself, being forced out. And it may actually be the best thing that can happen to them. There was never much of a benefit in Syria for Russia other than to make Obama look really stupid. In any event, Syria is a mess, but is not our friend. And bold caps, Donnie goes all caps for us, the United States should have nothing to do with it. This is not our fight. Let it play out. Do not get involved. 100% agree with President Trump on that. We have no business messing around with that place. We've replaced one bad actor with another. And that's the thing, too. Regime change all over the Middle East. And every time somebody steps out and we get somebody in there new, They are more radical than the previous leader. And feel pretty confident we're getting ready to see that again. And that's where we want to introduce this fellow. This is former commander of Al-Qaeda. Abu Muhammad al-Jilani is the new leader of Syria. Former commander of Al-Qaeda. He's leading the rebels. So effectively, you got Al-Qaeda stepping in to run Syria, or at least the political structure that is Syria. So this is per Bricks Info on Twitter, if you want to see that link. Okay. Lots of speculation about what happened to Assad. Some people thought his plane got shot down. Some people thought he was separated from his family. Well, it appears, and this is per Bricks again today, Bricks News, Bashar al-Assad and his family are in Moscow, Russia, and have been granted asylum in Russia. So there's your up-to-date with the latest. And then Israel launches attack in the buffer zone in the Quneitra area. So this is up here off the Golan Heights, and we're talking about this little area right in here. This is Quneitra. Al-Quneitra is right there. And Russia had forces, along with the UN, along here. Well, that all pulled out. Israel steps in and created more of a buffer zone, they say. Which makes me wonder, because we got that also. We've been talking a lot about what prophetically is going to happen in southern Lebanon. They're supposed to get this little area right through here as another area, the Jarephath, possess up to Jarephath, according to Obadiah. That hasn't happened yet. Looked like it was going to happen about a week or two ago, because they pretty much had Hezbollah circled in Lebanon. I suspect Hezbollah is going to flee now, because they've lost their support in the Assad regime in Syria. So who knows? I mean, and again, when we see these things happening, this is the context prior to the return of the Messiah, or the arrival of the Messiah, as the folks in Israel see it. But again, a little bit more territory Israel grabs. And then also they're saying up in here that may happen. Again, we know what's going to happen. How it happens, the facilitator, don't know. Fascinating to watch. And this is where we're going. Isaiah 8, verses 9 and 10. Huddle together, O peoples, and be shattered. Pay attention, all you distant lands. This is again relative to Israel. Prepare for battle and be shattered. Prepare for battle and be shattered. Devise a plan, but it will be thwarted. State a proposal, but it will not happen, for God is with us. And you can just see the drama happening around the whole world. I mean, we've got South Korea. If anybody saw that this past week, the president comes out, declares martial law. Parliament said, no, you're not going to do that. All kinds of mess in South Korea. President comes out and says, well, I'm sorry. South Korea's in turmoil. France's government officially collapses after no confidence vote in Parliament this week. German government collapsed this week. Protests are happening throughout the country of Georgia and the Caucasus between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. So this was an old Soviet republic. Planet's a hot mess, man. And we had this. We'll close with this. This was off the coast of Northern California, and Jesus said there will be quakes in various places. Powerful magnitude 7.3 earthquake has struck off the coast of California, triggering tsunami sirens and prompting a tsunami warning for the western coastline, including the San Francisco Bay Area. National Tsunami Warning Center has confirmed the earthquake's magnitude and issued a warning about the potential for powerful waves and strong currents. Residents in coastal areas are strongly advised to evacuate immediately, move to higher ground or inland, and avoid coastal waters until authorities confirm it is safe to return. Effectively, nothing happened, and they were fortunate that this earthquake excuse me, occurred directly west of a point off the coast of California that kind of dispersed it. So nothing major happened from that standpoint, but needless to say, continue to have what we can welcome California off the coast of California in the Pacific to the 7.0 club. So that's what I got for this week. Anybody else who's interested in following along, please feel free to share with others at PaulthePoke.com. And it's going to be classified under Burden of Damascus, Earthquakes, Volcanoes. Here are your keywords. If you're interested, also feel free to follow up any of these categories. Been categorizing this stuff since 2010. Coming up on 15 years. That's kind of hard to believe. So appreciate all those who have followed and been a part of that and participated, commented, and so forth. Please spread the word. Time's growing short. The Lamb of God will return as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So he's not going to be happy. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.